Even if your hair is messy or whatever, that's fine. I don't care. Turn your video on for just a second. And so I will call to order the December 11th, 2025 Northern Virginia Transportation Authority meeting. Ms. Henderson, if you don't mind, will you please call the roll?
Chair Randall,
Here.
Vice Chair Snyder,
Here.
Chairman McKay,
Here.
Chair Jefferson, Chair Karen Tonis,
Here.
Mayor Gaskins,
Here.
Mayor Davis Younger,
Present.
Mayor Mensing,
Here.
Mayor Reed,
Here.
Senator Boysko, Delegate Delaney, Delegate Sewell,
Here.
Mr. Gribbin, Mayor Colbert, Mr. Cutler,
Here.
Ms. Hussein.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you I appreciate that, Ms. Henderson, very much. Authority members, let's first, I'm going to go in and make a motion to approve the minutes from the November 13th, 2025 full authority board meeting. Is there a second on that motion?
Second, Snyder.
Second by Vice Chair Snyder. And what I would do for the votes, I will ask if anyone doesn't agree versus saying all in favor. If you oppose, tell me. So is there any discussion on the on that motion for the minutes from the 13th?
Madam Chair, Karen Tonis, I will have to abstain because I wasn't at the last meeting.
That's good. Anybody else want to oppose or abstain? All right, that motion will pass with one abstention from Mr. Karatonis. Thank you. So I'm going to do for this meeting what I did for the last meeting, which is it's the legislative priorities. But what I will do first before I do that is ask Ms. Baynard to just talk real quickly, or take a moment times you need actually, about what is happening, there are a lot of things that have happened since our last meeting. A lot of dominoes have fallen and continue to fall. And so we want to know what's the General Assembly looking like, what it's doing, what we should know in advance. And so we'll do the legislative priorities, action items in just a second. But Ms. Baynard, if you do not mind talking us through just a little bit of what's happening as it impacts the General Assembly. And Delegate Sewell, at any point, if you want to jump in and help us, that would be great too.
Thank you, Chair Matt Randall. Good evening, members of the authority. Just to set where we are right now, as you all well know, Governor-elect Spanberger is starting to name her cabinet. And as part of that, we are really fortunate that two members of the Northern Virginia delegation who represent us in the House of Delegates are now been named as a couple of different secretariats. Delegate Candy Munden King out of Prince William County, House District 23rd, is the designee as Secretary of the Commonwealth. And Delegate David Bulova out of the City of Fairfax, House District 11, is designated as Secretary of Natural Resources. And that's very exciting for the region. On the one hand, as we have two voices who not only will do a very good job for the Commonwealth, but are very in tune with what is going on in our region. However, that does create two open seats that have to be filled, hopefully before the General Assembly convenes on January 14th. So there is a process that has to go through. The two members have to formally resign. There has to be a formal writ and designation of that. And then the speaker will determine and select a date for the special election. So hopefully all of those steps will be taken soon so that those two districts can actually be represented when the General Assembly convenes on January 14th. So exciting news for those two really talented legislators. Really, it's bittersweet for me because I have worked really well with both of them, and I kind of sorry that they're not going to be in the General Assembly, but they're obviously going to do a great job for the Commonwealth writ large. So everybody across the Commonwealth gets to benefit from what we've had for many, many years now. And so it's all very exciting to see the governor-elect start to name her cabinet. She's named, I think it's 5 members now: Public Safety, Homeland Security, Secretary of the Commonwealth, Secretary of Transportation, former Deputy Nick Donahue, who I think
Yeah,
all of
would
us
you like to talk
with.
about that a little bit because
Sure.
for us, that's a really, I mean, all of these appointees are important, but for us, transportation is obviously real important. So would you like to
Right.
talk about that just a little bit?
Sure. It's like old home week to see Nick in that position again. Someone who knows us very well, who actually has done and part of so many big decisions and successful initiatives across the Commonwealth on transportation in all modes. Most recently, we of course have had the value of Nick's expertise and ability to work with people as part of leading the discussions and decisions on DMV moves. So it's exciting to actually have a Secretary of Transportation. We're not going to have to brief on that one subject, which is very big. So this is, we're all very excited that he's agreed to take the position. And again, having a secretary who knows all of the Commonwealth really well, but, again, someone who has lived up here, worked on projects for us, knows our localities very, very well. So, talk about hitting the ground running. I mean, I think that happened 6 months ago, it seems like, for him. So that's been great. Secretary of Health and Human Resources, again, someone that some of us may have worked with before, Mr. Marvin Figueroa, who was deputy in HHR under Governor Northam. Just very well received, that announcement. And then while actually a position that's I think is going to be important for some of you all to get to know her more is our new Secretary of Agriculture and Forestry, Katie Frazier, who, again, someone who has just worked in these areas for a long, long time in many parts of the Commonwealth. And I think, again, as Governor-elect Spanberger has talked about, day one, it's about economic development and creation of jobs. Agriculture, as many of you know, because some of you actually have large agricultural activity going on in your jurisdictions, agriculture is the state's, largest industry. So, there was just a lot of familiarity. People are very happy that Ms. Frazier has taken the role, and just that someone who, again, knows what is happening in the state and is going to be helpful on that endeavor. So that's the cabinet announcement so far. I'm sure they're going to be
There are, if I'm not mistaken, there's 13 secretaries, right?
I think
And so
that's right. I always
I think
forget
it's
the
for
numbers. I
13.
think 13 is
So we're 5 down right now, and we have quite a few more to go. Okay, all right. So obviously you're right about Secretary designate Donahue. He will hit the ground running, understands Northern Virginia, was leading the DMV moves process, and so that's good. I will say that when the 2 new delegates in the 23rd and the 11th are selected, it will be important that we get in front of them as soon as we can.
Yes.
To have those discussions with them as well. And I know that, I'm sure Delegate Sewell knows, that first session, you're drinking from a water hose, right? I mean, it just has to be so much incoming. But those 2 people are in Northern Virginia, and so it will be important to talk to them as fast as we possibly can.
Yeah.
So,
I think we plan on trying to meet with them that first full week of the session. And also, again, I've already reached out to Delegate Watts about us having the ability, MBTA, to brief the General Assembly on a couple of our priorities. Transit would be one of them, and talking about our BRT study. So hopefully that will be happening in January also. I just don't have a date for that yet.
Well, everyone, I said to Ms. Baynard and the GPC meeting, you know, I'm going to take her lead. I'm going to take Delegate Sewell's lead. If you all have anything that you think you definitely want me to focus on, or
Yeah.
anyone to focus on when we go down there for MBTA Day, let me know. I do know some of the, you know, some of the players and people who might be running, and so does Ms. Reed and others. And so we really want to get to them as soon as we possibly can. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
Absolutely.
we do. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Ms. Baynard, and Ms. Delegate Sewell, as far as you know right now, not talking about the special elections, but for everyone who won in the general, you all swearing in date is the 14th, right? January
Yeah.
14th. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
First thing that'll happen when they can be.
Okay. All right. That's good to know. That's very good to know. All right. All right. Miss anyone have any questions for Ms. Baynard before we go to the action item? All right, seeing none, Ms. Baynard, I'll take you to the action item.
Before you, is the, final draft version of our legislative, priorities. There's not been, a change since you saw them in November. Again, the things that are evergreen for us is protecting our existing funding sources, our existing authority to make prioritization decisions. And then our priority for, you know, biggest priority for this session, will be to have the discussion and seek the net new dedicated funding for operating capital that we need for transit, which is local bus service, OmniRide, Virginia Railway Express, and the Virginia with the Virginia share. For WMATA, again, this is about the infrastructure that supports what we're doing as a region to further our economy, get people to school, to healthcare. You don't want to have a car, you still should be able to get around. And it'll be up to all of us. As I said, it's going to take a village to have that discussion in the General Assembly within the context, again, of a theme that Governor-elect and many members of General Assembly ran on of affordability. But we have the two things, which is the $153 million for operating re-benchmarking, which has to be in place for FY27, and then the capital funding, which has to be in place and be usable, sustained, dedicated, predictable, will grow with inflation and can be bonded for capital, and that needs to be in place by FY28. So we will be having those discussions. We will try to work within the parameters of what's going on. You all know what is facing not only you all as local governments and your budgets, but also the Commonwealth writ large, whether it's the economy impact, tariff impact, SNAP, Medicaid, re-benchmarking, K-12, again, which has a direct impact on all of your budgets also, because K-12 funding is so important for us here in Northern Virginia and across the Commonwealth. So it's a complicated but not unexpected context within which to have this conversation. There aren't a lot of bills that have been introduced yet, so I don't have anything to share with you regarding anything that might impact NVTA. Hopefully we actually won't see anything and can focus on, you know, the main thing being the main thing, which is the transit funding.
Yeah. So NGPC, we talked a little bit about the transit funding, and I think everyone on this call knows the DMV move process, what's been going on in the DMV moves process. The fact that it was both the COG board and the WMATA board, and that the two boards in some way were meeting for 18 months, and that there were 3 separate boards meeting, and Ms. Backman was on one of them. It's just been quite the process, quite a long time. I was on one of them. Ms. Chair Jefferson, because she's on COG, when we did the final meeting between DMV, between COG, with COG and Metro, she was there as well. We did in the DMV moves meetings separately pass the non-binding resolution. The COG board passed it, the WMATA board passed it, the non-binding resolution that basically has the how the funding metrics will work for to eventually get to $460 million of bondable sustainable money, which is the cost that they know we have to start with to for capital alone, just for capital or Metro. And so it was a non-binding resolution because we have to send it to three separate bodies: the Maryland State House, a General Assembly, the Virginia General Assembly, and the Washington D.C. Council. All three of those have to vote on this for it to go forward. We can only focus on what we can focus on, which obviously it's Virginia. I was under the impression that because in the General Assembly, we're basically asking to tax ourselves in Northern Virginia for the purpose of getting money for that, amassing that $460 million. Ms. Sewell and Ms. Baynard said it may not be quite as easy as that, which that took me by surprise. And so what I asked them was, is there anything that I should know, we should know as we talk to our Northern Virginia delegation to try to, I won't say help them understand, because that's a little insulting, but just to try to have those discussions with them about why Metro is so important, about why this sales tax is just placed on Northern Virginia, not even Northern Virginia, but just, because it's not even actually on Northern Virginia, it's on Metro compact jurisdiction. So it wouldn't even affect Prince William County, because it's literally on Metro compact jurisdiction. Why? Yeah, no, Tracy, I see your face, Ms. Baynard. That part of the money is.
Yeah, I don't know
that
that it
part.
would, I don't know, well, remember, this is about transit funding, which is OmniRide, Virginia Railway Express, local.
But those are two separate, but because there have been some pushback from Prince William, some of that, they wouldn't have the same amount of the local tax funding as the compact jurisdictions had. So they would have some, you're right, because it was some of it. But remember, we're also going to go back and talk about the buses later and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ms. Baynard and Ms. Sewell and Delegate Sewell, help me understand that I don't really.
Well, and again, I remember this is, I mean, again, Northern Virginia, it's not just DMV moves, it was the
It's not.
SJ 28 piece.
Right.
So
Yeah, and that's the separation. Yes, exactly.
It's separate, but
Yes.
connected. You know,
Yes,
in the
exactly.
Northern Virginia number,
Yes,
we're
that is
modeling
right.
a piece of it.
Yes,
And so, you know, and for penny
Yeah.
and for pound, if, you know, all of our transit systems need assistance. All of the
Yes.
local governments who are paying subsidies need net new money to help address that. So there's not as much pressure on your real property tax rates and your citizens in that way. So, you know, from Northern Virginia, it's really more, again, I've always talked about it as it's the public transit ecosystem, which is what we're trying to address. So we're not even going to do this, you know, this ask once, hopefully.
yeah, and that's the sustainable bondable money part.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
again, I think it's, you know, the issue of, you know, we're agreeing to tax ourselves, but again, the overriding theme with almost every candidate on either side of the aisle who ran for election in November was affordability. And I think that will be a big, I know it's going to be looked at, and for many members across the Commonwealth, they will judge every initiative through that lens.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that. I do. I honestly do. It's just that when you play that out to the end, the rest of that discussion is, but if we don't start getting money, capital money that's bondable and sustainable money into Metro, the affordability piece, which means people keep their jobs in a not very long time, will be impacted if they can't get to their jobs.
Yeah.
So yeah. So it's like you don't want to, you know, you don't want to cut your nose off to spite your face. I mean, like, you know, you don't do it this year, and then 3 years from now, people can't get to the jobs because Metro is not, I won't say not running, but it won't be is reliable.
Well, again,
Mr. McKay, you were on DMV moves the entire time. Do you have anything else to add to any of this?
No, I think you've covered it well. I would just say that, having secretary designee that has been favorable to us is going to be helpful, but this is going to be a huge uphill battle. And I don't take anything for granted here. We've done good work. We put together a good recommendation, but the most important thing is going to be what happens in Richmond. I will say, we on our board endorsed the DMV moves recommendations on Tuesday. And I would just say if you're a jurisdiction on NBTA or NBTC for that matter, it's going to be really helpful that all the jurisdictions, if they can, also endorse the DMV moves recommendations. We're going to need all the help we can in Richmond. But I think you've covered it really well, and let's work hard on this.
Yeah, we endorsed it as well. Yeah, that's a really good point, Chair McKay, because we have endorsed it as well. In fact, we endorsed it first. So if your board has not endorsed this, please do that and put it in your ledge program. Please do that. So, Mayor Reed, Chair Jefferson, Chair Konis,
We'll be doing that on Tuesday.
Great,
Tuesday we'll be endorsing it.
Great.
That's
Okay.
already-
And put it in your ledge package. Very
We
good.
endorsed the DMV moves
Okay.
request as well on
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah, Mayor Gaskins, Mayor Davis Younger. Yeah, that's going to be real because then it goes into your ledge package. So now we're all singing off the same hymn now when we go down to Richmond, right? So yeah, so thank you, Mr. Snyder. How about your board? How about your council?
Madam Chair, we're ready for a motion on the ledge.
Okay, so it's coming up. Okay, all right. So anything else in the ledge program you want to talk about, Ms. Baynard?
No, we'll start putting together, those of us who are staffing on this, we'll work together to put together, additional talking points. Again, I think it's going to be important to kind of see where alliances with other regions might be helpful in forwarding something on transit and or transportation writ large, if that's a possibility. Always have to look out for that opportunity. And so these are conversations to start having, with your colleagues in other jurisdictions. And we'll just need to keep beating the message of these are vetted numbers, both everything through SJ 28, DMV moves. We have a very specific ask. It's got a very specific use. We've learned our lessons from what happened in 2018. So we're working on building the funding structure that will last for a decade, because it will grow. It'll be predictable. It is net new. We have a ton of accountability. The fact that this was an exercise on the WMATA side that, as you all know, started with a much larger number than we ended up with because of the vetting and the pushing WMATA to answer questions and justify the ask. Similar was done through SJ 28 with VRE and OmniRide in our local system. So this is not a pie in the sky wish list of what we're trying to achieve. It's very rational. It makes sense. There's a logic to it, and explaining why, how this fits with us being able to, get our economy going again, being able to attract and retain workforce, be able to attract those companies where the multimodalism of our system, and again, whether it's VRE, whether it's OmniRide, whether it's your local system, whether it's WMATA, all working together is important. And we just have to have that, conviction of our beliefs, and be consistent in it. And, hopefully we'll be heard, and hopefully we can get it done this year. But there's just a lot of people we have to bring up to the level of knowledge about all of this that we have. Again, you've got 140 members of the General Assembly, and we are not all 140 of them. So
Yeah, and I think by the time they get sworn in, there could be 140 members with 15 or 16 being new.
Yeah.
Right? That is incredible,
that is
right? So,
incredible.
yeah. So, okay, does anyone have any questions for Ms. Baynard? If your camera is not on and you're about to vote, I think legally we have to see your camera on. Is that right, Ms. Beckman?
To be counted towards the quorum, yes, Madam Chair.
Counted toward the quorum, you have to have the camera on. Sorry, everybody. So I'm gonna make the motion and then just stick it on in time for the vote and put it back out. I'm going to recommend the adoption of the 2026 legislative MBTA's legislative priorities. That's the motion. Is there a second?
Second, Madam Chair.
Second by Chair Karatonis. Is there discussion on the motion? All right. Would anyone like to abstain on the motion? Is anyone voting no on the motion? Ms. McKay, can I get your camera on for just a second?
You're gonna have to wait a second. I'm switching devices because I don't have it on this device.
Okay. Well, we're going to do some other things to keep this vote open. I'm gonna be Congress right now. I'm gonna keep this vote open for about for just a second, and we're gonna come back. I'm just gonna keep the vote open and not call the vote. So I'm gonna take Speaker of the House privilege from the United States Congress and keep the vote open just for a second. While I do that, I'm going to ask Ms. Beckman, do you have anything you'd like to report?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The only thing, or two items I'd like to report. I know one, I'm beginning to sound like a broken record, but we are in the process of doing the AIDS 6-year program. And as I've come to you previously, we are analyzing and evaluating 27 projects with the total request of just shy of $1.3 billion. Now that budget seasons have begun for you and for us, really to look at the estimate or estimates we think we will have available to fund this 6-year program. As a reminder, we're picking up fiscal years 30 and 31, even though we call it a full 6-year program. Those are the 2 new fiscal years we're adding. The other thing I would like to note is that MBTA was awarded Employer of the Year by the Women's Transportation Seminar DC chapter. We are well represented with women on staff, but women in leadership positions on staff as well. So we are really proud of that. And Madam Chair, happy New Year and all of that. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, New Year, all of that, because this is our last meeting of the year.
Yes, this is, and I saw that. And congratulations, and to your whole staff. And I've said so many times, you have a phenomenal staff. So great job.
Thank you.
Mr. McKay is back, although he looks like he's telling ghost stories too. He's on now. So I am going to go back and call the vote for the legislative priorities. We had no abstentions. Do we have anyone who would like to vote no nay on that item? Did I hear somebody? Okay. Hearing none, that motion will pass unanimously. The only other business I have is, my only other chair's comments is, at the beginning of every year, we have new people who are possibly the same people who stand for chair and vice chair of MBTA. I have asked 3 people to be in the nominating committee. Those 3 people are Aaliyah Gaskins, Kathleen Reed, and Chairman McKay. What happens is, between now and the first meeting in January, you all will meet and discuss, find out who might want to be nominated for these positions, and bring that to the first meeting in January. I think it's January 7th. Is it the 7th?
8th.
It's the 8th. Okay, January 8th, and the full authority will decide. I will call the nominating committee and let them know whether or not I like to stand for chair again. If anyone else would like to call the nominating committee and let them know if they would like to stand for chair, or stand for vice chair. I'm going to encourage you to do that. You have a whole month to do that. So call Ms. Gaskins, call Ms. Reed, call Mr. McKay. I told Mr. McKay that if he was not serving on the nominating committee, I was going to nominate him to be chair. So
That's why I'm on the committee.
That's why he's on the committee. Why he's on the committee. But if you have the desire to serve as chair or vice chair, please call them, and we will do that at the next meeting. The only other thing I would say is that I'm going to really Delegate Sewell, Tracy, I will also call Senator Boysko, Delegate Delaney, because I really want to make sure that that I do a good job down in Richmond next year talking about these issues. It's a lot right in on the line. And what I've just learned from you, Tracy, is if something doesn't happen this year, that doesn't mean it can't happen next year or be too late, depending on how it's discussed. And so I will be talking to you all about the legislative priorities, knowing that I think that this session is going to be, again, 15 new people. It's going to be a really busy session. New governor, new lieutenant governor, new attorney general. Everyone's new, right? And so it's going to be just a really tough time for the next, or not tough, but just a lot going on, very involved. And so I will keep in close contact with you all, and with Secretary Designee Donahue as well. So that's all I have. Is there any other business for the good of this body?
Madam Chair, I do have one thing to add, that January 8th meeting is the annual organizational meeting.
Yeah.
So we anticipate that there may be public comments, because we do have public comment on the agenda.
Okay. Yeah, it is the organization meeting. Yeah. Yep. It is. Okay. Anything else? Well, as Ms. Beckman said, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Holidays, Happy Festivus to the rest of us. All the stuff. It has been my honor to serve as the chair of this body, and I think you guys are doing, I think we're all doing great work. And so thank you, everyone. And I think with that, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair
Thanks,
Rundle.
everybody.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy
Happy
holidays.
holidays. Be merry, be bright.
Be well, Mr. Snyder.